यज्जाग्रतो दूरमुदैति दैवं तदु सुप्तस्य तथैवैति दूरङ्गमं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिरेकम् तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु येन कर्माण्यपसो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कृण्वन्ति विदधेषु धीराः यदपूर्वं यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु यत्प्रज्ञानमुत चेतो धृतिश्च यज्ज्योतिरन्तरमृतं प्रजासु यस्मान्नृते किञ्चन कर्म क्रियते तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु येनेदं भूतं भुवनं भविष्यत् परिगृहीतममृतेन सर्वम् येन यज्ञस्तायते सप्तहोता तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु यस्मिन् ऋचः सामयजूगुंषि यस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठिता रथनाभाविवाराः यस्मिन् कश्चित्तगुं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु सुषारथिरश्वानि वयन्मनुष्यान्नेनीयते भीषुभिर्वाजिन इव हृत्प्रतिष्ठं यदजिरञ्जविष्ठं तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु
सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनिमायया बहिर्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So in the last class, we were going over the mantra number 4. Yena idam bhutam bhuvanam bhavishyat parigrihitam amritena sarvam yena yagyastayate saptahota tanme mana Shiva Sankalpamastu. So we had already covered the first line of this mantra. Let us now look at the second line. And we will, at the end of this fourth mantra, the second line of the mantra, after we've covered that in a few minutes, then we will do a combined meditation for verses number 3 and 4 together. So we will do that right after this. So in the second line, it says, Yena yajñah tayate saptahota tanme mana Shiva Sankalpa mastu. That mind, which is by which the yajna is being done. So we will see this meaning of this a little bit more clearly in the meditation, in the nididhyasanam that we will do. But basically what it means is that my entire set of experiences in life is in the form of yajna to myself. Earlier we saw in the second verse, you remember, Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha yajñe krindvanti vidatheshu dhira. There we saw that yajna is being performed in the entire cosmos. These are all the examples where we saw that the tree, a plant, is actually a yajna towards the living beings. One living being, which is a plant, does the yajna in various forms. By its fruits, by its leaves, by creating oxygen. Similarly, the sun and the moon and all these other planetary objects, the various, from an astrological standpoint, the various stars, they're all interconnected, doing yajna to the whole cosmos. Here, another yajna, which is adhyatmika yajna. So the Srishti, as you know, has three aspects to it. Adi Daivikam, all the devas, all the natural phenomena, they're doing yajnas whether we know it or not. They're all involved in it because it's the order of the universe, the order of Ishvara. This is what is called Maryada. In Sanskrit, it is called Maryada. Maryada means that it is the order. Swami Dayanand used to use the word order, the order of the universe. It is not random. It's very, very specific. Swami Dayanandji's famous example, very favorite example was, just think about it. The water always boils at 100 degrees centigrade. Beautiful example. Not always, but predictably at 100 degrees centigrade at the level of the sea level on the equator. If you go above the sea level, then the temperature at which the water becomes vapor, boiled, changes a little bit. Go even higher, it changes more. And so there is a predictability to the order of the universe. This is a yajna. So the devata of the water, Varuna Devatas, all the devatas, they cannot transgress the maryada of Ishvara. They keep doing the same yajna over and over. Otherwise, you will say, my God, one day the water didn't boil. What happened? We don't know what the causes are. No. The laws of the universe, the science, the art, the predictability, so beautiful. And this even pertains to all living beings with the exception of human beings. Very, very interesting. The most evolved being, the human being, doesn't always follow the maryada. And if it starts to follow the maryada, maryada means dharma, the way I should behave, the way I should observe the things, the way I should interact with the world, has a certain dharma, some maryada. And it's very possible that when we are born as a very young baby, pardon me, we don't know what the maryada is. The baby is not expected to. There also there is a semblance of maryada, because just look at it. The baby cries when it is not well, when it is wet, when it wants its diaper change. It starts crying. When it's hungry, it starts crying. So there also there is a maryada, because suppose there is a baby who starts laughing when it is wet, and starts to smile even more when it is very hungry. Sometimes it's very hungry, it smiles. Sometimes when it is very hungry, it starts to cry. There will be no maryada. So wherever it is instinctive, there is a maryada. Later on, because of our confusion of Sukha Dukkha, because of our confusion of Raga Dvesha, our maryada gets violated and we pay for it. And so there is a yajna going on all over. Here, in this verse, the yajna is in the form of saptahota. So there is a very elaborate yajna called Agnishtoma, and it is performed by people that have a lot of wealth, who can afford to give away a lot of wealth. It requires a lot of wealth to do certain yagas. Not all the yagas, but some do. And so in this yaga, 7 priests are involved. So there is a yajabana who is actually sponsoring this yajna. Sponsoring the yajna means that he pays for it, he or she pays for it, but doesn't know how to do it. So you have to get somebody else to do it very accurately. These 7 priests, they know exactly how the ahuti, the incense, is given into the fire, at what time. Indraya swaha, idam namama. And so this is what it is said. The Pandit will tell. We just had something, I think it was the Anna Prashna of our youngest grandson the other day, about a couple of months ago, where the mother and father of the child had all the ahuti all ready to go, but when it says swaha, you are supposed to put it into the fire. And so they both do that, my son and the daughter-in-law. And so there is an order for it. And these Saptahota, 7 priests, perform the yajna on the behalf of the Yajamana. Here, and so this yajna, which is performed by 7 priests in a temple, doesn't happen all the time. It's when you have a certain desire, you have a certain program, certain event, then you sponsor this yajna to be done for you. Here, there is in fact a very sacred yajna going on all the time for you. What is that? So, the Saptahota, 7 priests, 7 people, 7 priests that are systematically doing the ahuti, are the 7 sense organs. There are 5 sense organs, but here 7 because you have the 2 ears, 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth. And who are they performing it to? The mind. Tanme manaha. The whole thing is about the mind. It's the instructions to the mind. So here it says, Yena idam bhutam bhavishyat bhuvanam parigrihitam. So we saw the first line where the mind is the one where the thoughts of the past, the thoughts of what's going on right now, and the thoughts of the future are offered to the mind. The mind is the one that receives it. And how does it receive it? Through these 7 hotas. So this is how samskaras are built. Samskaras means impressions. And so they are offering it continuously offering it to the mind. Your memories, your perceptions, your ideas. These are the sense organs. And we also saw in the previous mantra, Yasmat narite kinchana karma kriyate. So there, what happens is that there is a continuous flow of information which is being given to the mind. And it gets stored. Some gets discarded, but much of it gets stored. And this is what forms the samskara of the human being, by which the person acts. Karma kriyate. And so the mind, the saptahotas, are the ones who are offering the perceptions to the mind. And the mind appropriately responds to those offerings. How? Through the karmendriyas. So it has these channels from which things are offered to it, and the channels from which it offers responses back. Yes, I need to do something. Some ideas come in and say, this is not right. There is something being done which is not right. You need to act on it. So the mind receives it and says, yes, we need to do something. Let me walk over there. So you then appropriately employ the right karmendriyas to respond to it. This is a continuous yajna being performed. So this is exactly what this is pointing out. The whole 6 mantras is to enable us to understand how the mind is, which is the Maya Shakti as we saw, personal Maya Shakti. This is all individualistic Maya Shakti in the point of our own minds, but with a lot of common ideas because we all act the same way. Not act the same way, but we all act all based on the similar phenomena. That's what I meant to say. We all have the same phenomena. How the various samskaras are taken up. We'll discuss this in much more detail in the Mandukya Karika. But really, I mean, this is phenomenal. I think once I really saw the whole sketching of the phenomena of how the human being is what it is. It is a mixture of, we might even do a little bit of meditation on that today, but we will give you this much more thought, how we are really a bunch of samskaras and vasanas. Same thing really. Vasanas has a negative connotation and samskara has a positive connotation, but they're both pretty much the same. They're almost like synonyms. So how we have these various impressions that are collected from the outside that are stored within us, and they form our basic personality as to how we act out, what we do. I was reading just the last couple of days, I think, in the Advaita Prakaranam. I'm just revising the Advaita Prakaranam, Prakarana number 3 of Mandukya, which I don't know when that will come, hopefully in a couple of years, the way we are going. I was reading that. It's a beautiful example that Swami Akhandananda gave. He said, and in those days, he was talking about 1980s. Now the storage is completely different. But he was saying that suppose you are playing a tape recorder. So he was, this is an interesting example. I'll come back to these verses in a minute, but let me just take a small digression. So he says that, this is a very interesting thing. How we perceive these things to be depend upon our knowledge, our experiences, where we are. So for instance, Swami Maheshananji had pointed this out. He says that suppose you take, in those days, a transistor radio. We all have gone through that, where first of all, there was a radio that was connected to the electricity. You had to do that. I tell you, my memory when you talk about a radio goes back to the day Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, 1948. That scene is just, I'll give you my birth date. I won't give you exactly, but I was in 6 or 7 or somewhere there in that range, 1948. And what happened was that my grandfather and grandmother were visiting us my mother's parents were visiting us in Bihar, where my father was a mining manager, very senior mining manager. And I was sick with, I think, chicken pox, if my memory serves right. I was down with chicken pox. And my father and mother had gone to Agra to attend a wedding. So they left me with my grandparents in Bihar. And then this news came that Mahatma Gandhi had been assassinated. And I remembered the scene of this big electric radio. And and my grandfather and my grandmother were just so shocked. I didn't know who Mahatma Gandhi was. I was just a small child. But they were affected so much. And the whole radio was on completely. Every detail on how his body was taken, how he died, and so on. And so they brought my bed next to this where the radio was. And then they were just glued to it. So that was the time it was electric radio. Later on, the radio became wireless. So it became a transistor radio like with a battery. Swami Maheshanandaji says, suppose you take the transistor radio and you took it to a remote village where people don't even have electricity. Some villages still there. Adivasis. On Aim for Seva, this is what we do. We try to go after villages that have really no connection to the outside. So they are still there. And so if you give that transistor radio and put it next to somebody, what will they think? They would say, where is this voice coming from? Who's talking? What's going on? This is just magic. Similarly, Swami Akhandananda says that suppose you play a tape recorder in a similar situation in a village where they have not seen anything. What will they think? They will say, oh my God, what kind of somebody is talking. This tape is talking. So, listen to this carefully. The tape is talking means that it is what is called Karya Shrishti. Karya Shrishti means the effect of the creation, which is in the form of a tape recorder. And they will simply look at the Karya Shrishti. Okay? A knowledgeable person will view it as what? Just think about it. A knowledgeable person will say, there is something stored inside which is just being played out. So, the knowledgeable person will look upon it not just as a Karya Shrishti, but also as a Karana Shrishti. So, Karana Shrishti means, really speaking, it is not the tape that is talking. It is the content already stored in the tape previously, which is being displayed. That's all. So one is unmanifest, the other one is manifest. The unmanifest is expressed in the form of a manifest. Isn't it? This is a knowledgeable person. Similarly, we have our situation. What is the situation? We have a very sophisticated tape recorder inside our mind. And that tape recorder is in the form of the effect of continuous yajna that is taking place. How? Experiences, ideas, impressions, effects of actions are all being stored inside my mind. I am today as a result of my past. So much has gone by. Don't just think about this life. Even supposing you say, forget about the rest of it, just talk about this life. Okay, just this life. Can you believe the amount of stored data? There's not enough storage in the cloud from Google and Microsoft and Amazon and Meta and all these. They don't have enough storage. The amount of storage there is in each being, not even a human being, although much more for a human being. Infinite storage. May not be infinite, but so large. It's all getting stored. And when you meet someone and you of course, it has a gross, it has a sthula sharira, what this person looks like. Yeah, you see that person. But wait till the person starts to talk. Wait till you get to know that person. What it all expresses what has already been stored. So that is really what is being highlighted here in the verses number 3 and 4. Let's look at it. Yat yasmat nete na kinchana karma kriyate. He says no actions can be done. No actions can be done without whom? Because the mind of the person, each one of us, our tendencies, how we talk, how we behave, how we relate to others, our sense of right and wrong, not only about others but about myself. I mean, this is where I think we were talking about it. How many suicides take place? Unbelievable. That how you look upon yourself, how down you are. Depression is a huge problem. And so how you behave, how you look at yourself and others, and so on, is so much all stored inside. Karma kriyate. And then yajna hota, sapta hota, yajna. How these are being stored inside, like a tape recorder, a dynamic tape recorder. Anyway, we'll discuss that some other time. So anyway, so that's what these things, and so to the end result of these 6 verses is, O mind, I know how you're working. I understand the phenomena which you are endowed with. I know what you all do. And as in my non-understanding of yourself, I follow the wrong directions that sometimes you give me, often you give me. And it ends in nowhere. I am still searching. I'm still responding based on my samskaras, and my whole life passes by. In the meantime, a sthula sharira which has been given to me in this one expression of life is wasted. I keep on interacting, and before I know it, I have problems in my body, my heart, and nothing has been resolved. My mind still remains more or less the same. And then I take up another body, the whole thing is repeated. I know the power. I know how you work. Can you please redirect yourself so that it is for my benefit, so I become free while I'm alive? I know how you work. You're capable. This will happen in verse number 5 also. When we go to that. But so all the 6 verses are to get acquainted with how the mind works and what its capabilities are and what its limitations are and how I can now very quickly do a sankalpa. Very mind, follow me, follow my directions, follow the directions of the Vedas, of Ishvara, so that I can find Ishvara while I'm alive in this life. Tanme mana Shiva Sankalpamastu. So, as I promised, we will do a meditation now on quite like a combined meditation of Yat prajnanam uta chetaha dhritischa yat jyotihi antaram amritam prajasu yasmat na rite kinchana karma kriyate tanme mana shiva sankalpamastu yena idam bhutam bhuvanam bhavishyat parigrihitam amritena sarvam yena yajñas tayate. Tayate means to offer. Saptahota, these 7 priests that are continuously doing it, tanme mana shiva sankalpamastu. So with that, let's do a short meditation on these 2 verses, number 3 and 4. And then time being available, then we will go to verse number 5. Okay, so let me just review my notes to make sure that I will do the meditation on that. All right, so let me turn off these bright lights. Sip of water. I meditate on how my life's experiences are presented to me. I meditate on the phenomena of my experiences. I see that my life consists of awareful thoughts, awareful experiences, formful knowledge, a continuous series of formful knowledge. I see a cup so this is a cup experience. I see the cup has some water in it. I see the water. I see the table. So I have cup knowledge. I have water knowledge. I have table knowledge. In these three separate experiences, cup knowledge, water knowledge, table knowledge, is there any difference in the knowledge? Does that make any sense? Is the cup knowledge totally different from the water knowledge happening to different persons. No. I see the phenomena. All that happens is that I am knowledge, pure knowledge, Jnapti Swarupaha, Chit Swarupaha, pure consciousness, pure knowledge, pure Jnanam, Prakrishta Jnanam, Prajnanam. All that happens is the cup is superimposed on the prajnanam. Then the table form is superimposed on the same prajnanam. The water gets superimposed on the prajnanam. Similarly, the thoughts of the past, bhutam, becomes superimposed on the prajnanam. And may leave an impression on my memory, but like a sight of a table being replaced by a sight of table, cup, water, walls, they are just superimposed temporarily. Prajnanam remains the same, doesn't it? Is there any doubt about this? This is the phenomena, how the mind works. The mind is the first expression of the prajnanam. In that mind, all the experiences are being poured into. Experiences of the past, the forms of the present, the thoughts of the future, and they are all offered and poured into by the 7 orifices of the sense organs, the eyes, the ears, the nose and the mouth. They're all being offered, all poured into it. And they become stored samskaras. Some of them get discarded. Some of them get solidified, retained. And those samskaras are in the form of jnanam. It's as though they are impurities into a pure ocean of water. And they get retained as impurities in my ocean of consciousness. Samudram, Chit Samudram, Chidakashaha. They are like impurities that are poured into this pure space of consciousness. These impurities, these offerings, these samskaras do not affect the pure consciousness, the pure water, the pure akasha, pure space. It may appear to be polluted, but it is not. But in my ignorance, I appear to be polluted. I appear to be affected. I appear to have memories and tendencies and personality. And mistakenly, I act on these impurities through my organs of action. It is all because I take myself to be an impure, based on samskaras, person, which ends in my being limited. I see the impurities as my own upadhi, my own quality. Through the teaching of the Shruti, I can come to understand that like space or like pure water, these do not belong to me. They cannot affect me. I have a higher degree of reality than these impurities. Once this is clear for me, I now resolve to see myself as unaffected, pure, this is the meaning of Shiva. Pure consciousness, prajnanam. Tanme mana Shivak Sankalpamastu. A mind, now that I know the phenomena of my experiences, may I now direct my efforts to see my purity as Shiva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that completes our fourth mantra. So let me briefly start the fifth mantra, but it will probably not go much into it, and we will do it next time. So mantra number 5. Yasmin richaha sama yajumshi yasmin pratisthita rathanabhao iva rathanabhao iva araha yasmin chittam sarvam otam prajanam tanme mana Shiva Sankalpam astu. Yasmin richaha. So richaha means the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is understood. It's a Veda that has portions or mixtures of all three combined into a separate Veda called Atharva Veda. So all 4 Vedas. Yasmin pratisthita, where the knowledge of these Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, are stored in whom? Yasmin pratisthita. Rathanabhav iva araha. So Ratha means a chariot. So any vehicle, you can say, in the modern world, the vehicle of a car, for example, Ratha, Nabhau, in the Nabhi. In the Nabhi means the navel. So Nabhau, I'll come to that in a minute. Nabhau iva, like Nabhau iva, Araha. Araha means spokes. So the one that makes everything move, everything function. And so if you look at how the vehicle moves, Ratha here, the Ratha Kalpana, Ratha Nabhav iva araha, how the wheels, the very instruments of motion are connected through the spokes into the navel, the fulcrum of these, how they are all connected. So similarly, you find that not only our casual experiences of life, which has been talked about in the previous mantras, starting with Yad Jagrato Duram Udaiti Daivam Tadu Suktasya Tathaiveti Duram Gamam Jyotisham Jyotihi, starting with that, Yena Karmani Apasaha Kriyate Manishinaha Yagye Kriyate. Then Yat Pragyanamuta Cheto Dhritischa Yat Jyotirantaram Yasmat Nakrite. So all of them are the elements of the daily experiences of our life. Not only that, but even the highest form of knowledge cultivated carefully with this is true, this is spiritual knowledge through Richaha, etc. But the same thing is true. You see the difference here. This is what I'm trying to point out is that as a child, there are some things you know already just by observing. Oh, this is milk. Just a couple of days ago, when my grandson was Arjun was visiting, I was just playing with him and so on, and all of a sudden, my son brought the milk bottle because he knew that he needed a feed and he was warming it up. So while I was playing with him, he brought it close to him. Arjun's whole thing completely changed. He not just wanted milk. He didn't want to play with anything else. He just lifted his hand up and said, I want that milk. So this is a casual knowledge gained by a child. As opposed to, imagine a few years later, when that knowledge is gathered in a very systematic, disciplined manner. It could be science, it could be technology, it could be medicine. And you study a lot, you know a lot of detail. And then you have the spiritual knowledge that comes in. What is Atma? What is Anatma? What is Jagat? What is Ishvara? And what is Jiva? And all of these kinds of things. You spend a lot of time in learning with a very focused approach, not just like a child. Where does it all come to? Where is it deposited? You're gathering a lot of very sophisticated, very detailed, very far-reaching pieces of knowledge. Where is it stored? Where does it arise out of? The mind. Pratishtita. It is established in the mind. It's all in the mind, in the memory, knowledge. You know, people, some of these priests, and even not even priests, just children who are given these Vedic mantras to remember. I remember going to a Chhatralaya in near Swamiji's village, and we visited a Chhatralaya, and so all these young kids were chanting verses, not looking at any book or anything, just closing their eyes and chanting Rudram, Purusha Suktam, etc. So, and these were, they were like young teenagers, 11, 12, 13, 14, something like that, or not very old. And so I was curious. I turned to their teacher after the chanting was over, and I said, I want to have a question. Generally speaking, how many hours of these chants can be recited by them without looking into a book? And you know what he said? I think he said something like 30 hours. They can recite something for more than 24 hours without looking at a book. Imagine the amount of memory and repetition that has been stored in the mind. So this is what verse number 5 is now talking about. He says not only the general worldly knowledge that the mind is capable of processing, but having such capacity. And where does it all come? Where does the knowledge come? All in the mind. It may be memorized or it may not be memorized. I'm getting old. I cannot remember the Gita verses anymore. I used to remember by heart. But I know that I cannot remember it, and I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. If I need to read something, it comes back to me. But it's all in my mind. That mind. It is, everybody has the same mind. The whole process, the phenomena remains the same. So that is the first line. So, and to finish that off, so the example given is Yasmin richaha sama yajumshi Yasmin pratisthita. They're all stored in which? Carefully stored. Ratanabhav iva ara. They're offered. There's a lot of knowledge going on. There's a lot of, like for example, doctors. How much knowledge they have is so impressive. How much knowledge they have about diseases. And if you walk into their offices and they will say, I think I know what's going on. You have such and such disease, and here are the kind of medicines, here are the side effects. It's all in the mind. And they are kind of like actions and movement, all in the, as though they're all offered into the mind, into the navel of the mind, so to speak. And they say that in Vishnu and Krishna's Sudarshana Chakra, so the entire chakra of the universe is in their hand, because all gathered towards at one place, and through that they can manifest it in its variety and order and so on and so forth. And for each one of us it is the same. We have so much. You get to know a person, and there is so much inside that person. Somebody is a dancer, a singer, and all their knowledge and experiences are all in their mind. This is how powerful the mind, this is how capable the mind is. But it is not being put into the proper, into the right direction for me. So this is the Sankalpa. Hey mind, I know how capable you are of storing and processing. Can I request you now to redirect this power that you have into freeing me from the sense of limitation? So this is the sense of the fifth verse also. And we will go into the second line, number 5. And then there is not much more to do. We will do number 6 and then do a meditation and perhaps a revision of all the verses. And that will complete our short introduction to Shiva Sankalpa Suktas. So with that, let me close the class, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. For some reason, I don't get the names of people that are attending. Just give me a message. So close this just a second. Now I can see it. Shantikumar, Mary Penn, Surendra, Pannabhuva, Chandradulam, Balamani, Larry Lopez, Shankar, Banjaras, Kamala Shankar, Amit, Darshana Shukla, Maithili, Satish Jalota, Shanti Kumar. Very good. Nice to see you all. So it'd be nice. I think what we will do is, as I think I had already mentioned, that after we really memorize these verses by heart, then it would be nice to practice doing a meditation on each mantra, either separately or sometimes together. And so again, it doesn't mean that you know you don't need to recall every word and the meaning of every word when you're doing meditation, but hold on to a couple of concepts that are pertinent to each of these mantras, and when you do the meditation, then dwell on it, and so that becomes a good habit. I think we can all do that in the future, generally in the morning, but can be done at any time. And this way you become very pakka, very thorough in the understanding of these small six mantras. So anyway, let's hope we can do that, and then this small course will be over. All right. I don't see any questions from you, so with that I take your leave, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Hari Om.